You see, sometimes authors blatantly tell us the answer to some of the greatest mysteries in their series. Although it is right in our faces, sometimes we are just too dumb or we just don't catch on to the clues that they give us. With different writing techniques like foreshadowing, authors tell us how the series is going to end from the beginning of its actualization. However, we don't pay attention. Kishimoto is a master of this art. He uses this a lot in Naruto. An easy example of this is with Naruto in the Chunin exams. During the test that was designed for them to cheat, Naruto said something that would happen in the future. He shouts out that even if he's a genin for the rest of his life, he will still be Hokage. This actually happens, as Naruto never passed the Chunin exams and remains a genin while being Hokage. Kishimoto is doing the same right now. He is putting the answer right in our faces, but we're just not catching on to the clues that he is giving us. He has currently foreshadowed the Jougan's most broken ability in the first episode of Boruto, but we just haven't realized. You see, in the manga, we rarely see the Jougan, and this is the same for the anime. This means that every time the Jougan appears, it is important to remember what are the circumstances that allow the Jougan to appear. So first, let's talk about the Otsuki God, the god with multiple Jougans. In my opinion, I feel like this scene was misrepresented or misunderstood by the community. I say this because the manner in which Ishiki describes the Otsuki God was more in the form of something that all Otsukis should strive for. Let me explain. You see, with our personal lives, we all strive for greatness or we strive for perfection. Being perfect is something that we could never achieve. However, it is something we strive for. Striving for these goals allows us to improve in our life. This is the same with the Otsuki God. Ishiki describes a person or a form that all Otsukis should strive for. And what eye does this god or person have? He has the Jougan. This leads us to the first clue. The Jougan is the eye that all Otsuki strive for, the perfect eye, the best eye in the series. This means that we should expect it to have some of the most broken abilities that we have ever heard. You see, the first mistake I made was thinking Boruto and Naruto were the series with the same phenomenon. This is not the case. Although they share similarities because they have been written by the same person, they are not the same. Naruto is a story about an underdog, a person who had to work for everything he has. However, Boruto is not that story. Boruto is not a story about an underdog. It's a story about a boy who will carry the fate of the entire world. This is why Boruto is growing so fast. He is surpassing his father from a very early age because he has to carry the fate of the world. This is why he will obtain the Jougan, the most broken eye, and Kishimoto has already started to foreshadow one of his abilities. And this ability could potentially be the most broken one of all the Jougan's abilities. As you guys may know, Kawaki has Ishiki's eye. This has been revealed to us in the manga and in the anime opening that has just been released. This means that he is able to shrink and store things just like Ishiki did in the past. This includes stuff like stones, pillars, and even swords. However, Kawaki did not do that in the time skip scene that we see in the first episode of Boruto. In the past, I theorized that the sword was alive and Kawaki could not shrink it, because he cannot shrink living things. However, most of my subscribers introduced me to another possibility. The possibility that Kawaki can shrink his sword because of the Jougan. So this means that the Jougan has a secret ability that allows it to nullify other dojutsu's abilities. When I first heard this, I was very hesitant and didn't want to believe this because it would just make the Jougan too broken. However, you have to remember that Boruto has the Jougan, the eye that the Otsuki God possesses. This means that it will definitely have broken abilities that we have never heard before. And this is not the first time we see this happen. As with the Rinnegan, we see that people who fight against it cannot use ninjutsu. This will be similar for the Jougan, as people who will fight against the Jougan users will not be able to use their dojutsu. This is why Kawaki cannot shrink Boruto's sword, and this is why we don't see Kawaki's dojutsu in the time skip scene. However, I understand if you find this theory hard to believe, because it was hard for me to believe at first. This is why you have to watch this video and find out the simple answer: Boruto's sword is alive.